All right, so what are we talking about? Racism, power outages, solar flares.
Technical difficulties.
What was
I'm
the
gonna have
last
to
thing we
splice
were
that.
talking about? Oh, it was COVID over. Or
Oh yeah. Is COVID over? I was looking up some statistics for you. Arizona, 12 states seeing rise in COVID hospitalization.
Have y'all seen anybody who y'all might have thought had COVID, like they were coughing a lot, or because I haven't seen anyone who I was
Not
like,
close,
you have COVID, or
Not like
you definitely have it.
You got it.
There's something about you coughing.
Auntie Rona got your ass. Nah.
Rona?
Since the symptoms are so close to like the flu, I haven't seen anyone that it's been clear enough for me to know like, oh yeah, that's COVID, not the flu, not the allergies, not the cold.
People saying they believe we all like it was a huge spike in like December, January. That like a good portion of people probably had it and didn't realize it, and it just passed basically.
Right.
People at my job have been saying, "Oh, I felt like I had it a while ago. I already got over it."
Yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe that's true. Maybe people did get that, but another possibility for that is that people were primed to do that because that was a theory that I saw. Like, I remember when no one was saying, like, oh, maybe the COVID already was here. And then I remember that kind of picking up speed. I mean, kind of around the time that the first kind of like, I guess, like public, like knowing, like the public's finding out about COVID as that started to calm down and people were just finding out basically what it was. Then the idea of it being there already kind of picked up more speed. And I also feel like it's kind of dropped off a little bit in like how many people are talking about it, but maybe that's just because they're talking about riots and protests and racism and all that now. But I don't know. I feel like people could have been there's always a chance that some people could have did that, and then some people kind of with the like whole placebo effect. You know, it's like if I tell you you got a cure, if I tell you you're going to feel sick, you're going to start feeling that way. You know, for good or bad. Maybe it's not all of them, but
that one headline, it says Arizona is slowly reopening, but hospitals in the state continue to see severely ill COVID-19 patients.
That's what I'm saying. Like half of the working world is considered to be okay, but still another half isn't safe. So I like what is that? How does that work? How is it half and half?
Well, because the
Wi-Fi settings.
Yeah,
Wi-Fi might need to come back on.
It does need to come back on. The mortality rate. I mean, I remember hearing them saying
turn it off and then back on, and then it'll reconnect by itself.
I remember hearing people say that maybe the mortality rate was going to be around 2%. Then maybe like last week I heard someone saying that people had said the mortality rate can get as high as 10%. I personally never heard anyone say that, but look, I mean, 2% of the population doesn't kill everyone. You know, if there's 100 people, 2 of them died. For the most part, visually, everyone's still there. So it's not like you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna like notice this that much. You're going to now the infection rate is different. So you're going to hear about everyone damn near catching it, but you're not going to hear about everyone dying from it. But then you're also going to have like people. I mean, it's going to be hyped up and kind of primed in your attention span. But what happened is that people shut down the economy people shut down businesses, which slowed the economy because 2% is low in the perspective of if you're asking like, will we survive? Will humanity be here? But it's kind of high as far as like economic performance because 2% is low, but it's still high enough for it to set into everyone's mind of like, oh shit, 2% is actually kind of big. I don't want to be the 1% or the 2% chance and be the person who dies. And then also when you have like your higher higher risk pool, like your elderly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People don't want to know that they're responsible for like their grandpa or like grandma dying or something like that, or their child dying or something like that. So I feel like, I mean, personally, I feel like we reopened certain things too soon, and then certain things probably never should have been closed in the first place. But it's.
I think the protests have a lot to do with us being locked in the house for so long as well.
I agree. I think
that goes.
I think Sorry, I'll end with this real quick. To kind of segue into that, I think the protests are more diverse in the reason why the protesters are out there is more diverse than just Black Lives Matter and George. I'm running a blank on his last name.
Floyd.
George Floyd. Thank you.
George Floyd.
A lot of people are out there for George Floyd, and I'm not even saying that they're not out there for George Floyd, but I think they're also out there for other reasons. I think the economic uncertainty has a lot to do with it, and then I also think the protests that happened just before these protests, where you saw clear as day, Black people are dying in the streets, but then white people get to walk into the city hall, with fully armed
guns, rifles,
fully
and stuff.
armed,
Loaded.
arm to the teeth.
That shit was crazy.
Rocket launchers and stuff.
I'm exercising my, my freedom of speech, and this isn't a form of intimidation. This is just me exercising my free speech. But it also, if you don't do if you don't do the thing that I like, then we are going to physically harm you. So I feel like seeing all of that, then all of that is mixed into why a lot of those people are out there. That's my personal.
Yeah, it was basically like they figured if they do all this, well, like we was talking about how you just stopped talking about it, and miraculously it's gone now supposedly. But like you said, it's not really about the whole COVID thing. It's more of an economic type of thing to try to.
I think that adds into it. It's like it's a bunch of different factors that added into people being frustrated and filling the streets en masse because of that murder. Like the murder was a spark, but the powder was already there, ready to be ignited.
Right.
But that's a perfect segue into my second point, which is another question. Why do you guys think that there's so many videos and so much documented cases of police killing Black people or shooting Black people who are unarmed or choking them to death, or and why
That's the thing too. It's not that like people were saying. It's not like it's a new thing.
Yeah.
Basically, it is more exposed now because of the internet, and social media, and all that type of stuff.
Camera phones.
And I think they expose it more and more now, so people can actually. People believe, but some people like don't really believe until like it's in their face, so to speak, type of thing. So you show all this evidence, it's kind of hard to just ignore it now, basically. So now you get all this physical evidence and visual evidence of what's really going on. Is you can't just surpass it, even though they're really trying.
Wait, let me alter my question a little bit. The other day, I was speaking to Spot's parents and my parents at the same time. They were together, and they were saying Spot's dad asked me what do I think is the cause of the white guy kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes or whatever, and what do I think is the cause of. He said that he was at a rally where there was a cop, a big giant black cop, and he was crying because some of the protesters were like yelling at him and cussing at him and calling him all type of names and saying he should die and shit like that.
They were yelling at the big black guy, or they were yelling
at the cop. Not, but his dad is a preacher, so that's why he was there. Context. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? What's like the source of people acting like that, like
of that individual guy?
The cop?
No, I mean, like, just people being like, you're a cop, fuck you, or you're, or the cops being like, you're a criminal, or you're not a citizen to me, you're a criminal. That, which is what it seems like to me when you shoot a black guy in the back when he's running away from you or whatever,
Oh, I mean, I guess, I don't know. For me, it's not really like a simple thing as far as like where's the source coming from, because I feel like there's a bunch of different influences on where the cops coming from, where the person who's getting knelt on is from, where black people are coming from, where white people are coming from. I guess in a lot of ways, I'm kind of getting back into like Marx and the whole like structure and superstructure. What's the economic class struggle that's going on there? What's the racial class struggle? What's the gender class struggle? And like how do each people kind of be affected by that? I mean, like it's, to be honest with you, I haven't watched the entirety of the video. It's like
I should have asked that first. Have y'all seen the video? Have you seen the video?
Of him getting kneed on his neck. Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
No, I've seen part of it. It's just, to be honest with you, it's just kind of tough for me to watch. I also kind of don't feel like it's really that is tougher as it is for me to watch it right now. I kind of feel like it's not that necessary. Like I can, for the most part, take other people's words is what was going on,
and still
just
understand it.
Yeah, just like starting off, like seeing where it was going, like because
I saw it before the outrage.
Right.
I saw the video. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, "He's dying!" Like,
yeah, same here. The video came, to my attention before the outrage, but like it's clear in the title, like what like cop kneels on guy until he dies, and it's a long video, and it's like for me it's kind of tough to watch just because it's like it goes on for so long, and then just to hear how people talk about it is just like you see him kneel on him. You see, like the guy's talking about he can't breathe. People are like, you need to check his pulse. The guy dies.
There was a lady ran up. She said she was an EMT or something. She said, "Let me check him," and the cops are like, "Back up." And I'm like,
that's why when the case came up about his charges and all that, at first it was set to be at third degree, meaning that he did it on accident. Well, I was telling people, it's like there's no way that can be considered an accident. Wow, like you're clear as day cutting off somebody's air circulation. When you say like 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Like how long? What do you expect to happen?
And like hella people were right there. Like he cannot breathe.
Yeah,
that's why I was glad they got changed to second degree.
Not yet. I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the source I feel like the source comes from not only racism but just like poor structure planning about like how police should interact with people. Then you have the race component. Then you have the economic component of they
not enough training.
They don't get much training. They also don't get paid that much. Is what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Like the union and the way that the union protects them is very nice, and they do try and work out some decent pay for them. But
wait a minute.
I hear about a lot of cops not making that much money. You hear about say something?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, well, what is it? What is the average cop salary?
You want to look that up? My idea on what the source of them killing people is group psychology, like in group, out group psychology.
I think that's a major contributor.
Yeah, because and this is how I explained it to Spot's father and my father and their wives, because my mom it was right there and his mom was right there, and I was like, it's the same thing that a person experiences when you wear the wrong jersey in the wrong state. Like if you're wearing a Lakers jersey and you're in Michigan or something, they're not gonna be nice to you. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you doing here, rocking that shit?" And it's the same thing with police. When they see you, they're not looking at you as a citizen. They see you as a potential threat, and they're going to do what they think they have to do to defend themselves. Or if in every group, there's going to be a percentage of people who are racist or whatever. Just like I heard back in the day that some of the police were from like Mexican gangs, like 13th Street or something like that. Like a lot of them, they send one of their guys in there to go up through the ranks so they can, prosecute who they think that should be prosecuted. And I'm like, that makes sense, All you gotta do is just get in. You ain't got no tattoos or nothing. Just get in, act regular,
Yeah, infiltration.
Dude.